determine that 8 seed, 10-8 matchup in Minneapolis, and it is the Timberwolves, a blowout win over the OKC Thunder. They win by 25, 120-95. Cat had a good game against the Lakers earlier this week on Tuesday night, and that lost to LA in overtime. Another double-double, 28 and 11. Rudy Gobert, he returned. He had a double-double, 21 and 10. Ant-Man played a little better. Anthony Edwards there. Mike Conley played well. An all-around great game for the Timberwolves. They won it by 25. SGA did have 22, the All-Star for OKC. But the baby Thunder, the second youngest team in the NBA, struggled tonight in Minneapolis. Their season is over. Minnesota moves on, and they'll get the Denver Nuggets on Sunday. Let's bring in our CBS Sports NBA insider. There he is, Bill Ryder, Ryder than you. And Bill, last time we talked, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were losing to the Lakers. Tonight, looked very well and played very well in Minneapolis there. A great performance by the entire team there. You look at it, Cat, everyone else played well. How impressive was the Timberwolves tonight? A team that looked like they can give the 1 seed some trouble, Bill.
Yeah, Larry, you said it. This was a complete team effort. They literally got Rudy Gobert back. They figuratively got Anthony Edwards back, who had a was incredible, and that Oklahoma City team, under the pressure of a really good defense from the Timberwolves, regress back to their youth and their age and their lack of experience. And I think you hit on it. In the Eastern Conference, with all respect to the teams that are going to play the 1 and the 2 seed, those series are pretty well determined. You're right, it's different in the Western Conference. And while I don't think the Timberwolves, by any stretch of the imagination, are favorites, they're a top 10 defense. We saw their offensive firepower. They've got some depth when they're not punching each other and everybody's available. It's going to be a pretty good series, Timberwolves against the Denver Nuggets. We'll see what happens.
And we talked about Rudy Gobert. Of course, last time we saw the Timberwolves, they were sort of fighting at each other in that game on Sunday, the last regular season game for the Timberwolves. Played very well tonight. And how about Kyle Anderson, the two participants in that punch or that swing there, and Rudy Gobert, not one but a couple of lobs there. How good and how nice was it to see the camaraderie with this team after some infighting the last time we saw them?
Well, that's what it's going to have to be. And Rudy Gobert said to the media before the game that he and Kyle Anderson, he considers him a brother, and that sometimes brothers fight. Now, Larry, I've got a brother, and I don't want to admit how many times I've punched him in the face and he's punched me in the face. Right? Those things when we were younger. Those things actually happen. The question becomes, are those just the words you're required to say after what happened, or is it true? This performance certainly indicates there's the possibility that Rudy Gobert is being straight and honest and candid, that these are two guys, he and Anderson, who really like each other and get along, and they just get competitive. But that's going to be tested and probably bear itself out in an actual 7-game series, because you're right. In this game, against a struggling Thunder team who are not exactly a world beater in terms of a title challenger, it was pretty easy, and it looked like those Timberwolves, those two guys in that team got along. Challenge is different against the Nuggets, and we'll see how they interact and how they get along and how they play on the floor.
Yeah, Minnesota won 3 of the 4 regular season meetings against OKC. OKC did get 1 win in Minnesota earlier this season, but it is the Timberwolves moving on, and they'll get the Nuggets coming up here on Sunday. And speaking of Nuggets, as we can take a look at this, the 2-2 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, when you look at it, Bill, they did win a couple of those games, though, in blowout fashion over Denver. How much of a nuisance can the Timberwolves be here in this 1-8 matchup against Denver, who's been the number 1 team out west pretty much the entire season, Bill?
Outside of maybe the Clippers, and that's maybe the Clippers should be included too. I think every single team that enters the playoffs from the Western Conference picture now has a chance to win whatever series they're in, including the Timberwolves. And I know the Nuggets are the favorite, and they've earned that, but there are some deficiencies there in terms of their defense. They've been wildly inconsistent. And until we had the Rudy Gobert, Kyle Anderson punch situation on the shoulder, the Timberwolves are one of the hottest teams in basketball over the last few weeks. I think they team defensively. They're incredibly deep. And if Anthony Edwards can play offensively at the level he did in this game, and you can have Cat doing his thing and Gobert doing his thing, you're talking 3 guys at least who can impact the game in a serious way on the offensive end for a T-Wolves team that is very good defensively. It's a really, I think, serious nuisance at best for the Denver Nuggets. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, and you got those 2 bigs you mentioned there with Cat and Gobert to try to get up against the Joker there, a 2-time league MVP here. Well, real quick, I want to get your thoughts here. You hear the Target Center fans screaming and yelling and chanting, "We won Denver." You sure they want that, Bill?
I think, hey, look, I think if you're in the Eastern Conference, you should just be quiet and just respect either the Celtics or the Bucks who you're playing. I don't hate it. I mean, outside of the Phoenix Suns, I don't think, Larry, there's a strong favorite. And just talking to folks around the NBA, it's not just me. Most GMs out there like the Nuggets, think they're interesting, but nobody's afraid of this basketball team. Doesn't mean they're not really good, doesn't mean they can't make a run, but the West is really wide open, and I think those Timberwolves fans, and look, fans are also having a few drinks and they're feeling the good vibes of a blowout, but I do think the Timberwolves have a puncher's chance to make it a really interesting series.
Yeah, second straight year the Timberwolves in the playoffs, lost, of course, last year to the Memphis Grizzlies in 6 games, so we'll see how they fare this year in 2023. Here's our CBS Sports basketball insider, Bill Ryder. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the games this weekend. Playoffs getting started on Saturday. Western Conference first round here, 1 versus 8 matchup. Denver, a 1 seed for the first time in the history of that storied franchise there. Like we said, Minnesota back-to-back playoff appearances for the first time since the big ticket was there. Kevin Garnett when they went to 8 straight from 97 to 04. Home team won all 4 regular season meetings. They did split 2-2, but like I said, the Timberwolves, they did win both of their games against Denver by double digits. One of those was a blowout. I think 30 points. I think it was like 128 to 98. We'll see the Timberwolves can make it close here and put a scare into the Nuggets. Game 1 on Sunday night in Denver.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.